Who are the best game week 26 midfielders to buy? Is it the Wolves pair and Neto and Hwang, or maybe Aston Villa's Bailey and Douglas Luiz? In this video, we're going to discuss exactly the players that you should be buying going into game week 26, as well as those that you need to avoid. So as always, make sure you do drop a like on this video, aim for 300. And of course, if you're not already, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. So enough chatting, let's get into today's video. Okay, so first up, we are going to look at players to buy for game week 26, and we need to start with Wolves. Neto versus Hwang. This is the big discussion right now in the FPL community. So I've brought up the underlying numbers for them over the course of this season, as well as the upcoming fixtures. So first up, let's touch on them as players. Neto slightly more expensive at 5.7 million, Hwang at 5.5. And when we take a look at the underlying numbers, there is a common narrative here. Hwang being the goal scorer in this team, you can see goals per 90, 0.58 compared to Neto's 0.14, and also the expected goals is massively in Hwang's favour at 0.41. Shots slightly in Neto's favour, but again, when I'm seeing the numbers being higher for Hwang in expected goals, he is the one getting in those goal scoring opportunities. However, in terms of chance creation, this is where Neto comes into his own. You can see with goal assists, 0.61 compared to Hwang's 0.17, and also the expected assists being double that of Hwang. So it's very much a case of what kind of manager you are and who you want to target. I think Neto on the eye test is the one that I want. Whenever I see Wolves attack, he is at the heartbeat of it. But it seems like, and based on these underlying numbers supporting it, the man who is creating the opportunities for other players in the team. Now, Hwang only recently coming back into the team from the Asian Cup. Can he maintain the underlying numbers that we saw at the start of the season? Because he really was on fire in the opening 12 game weeks, for example. I don't know whether he was on a purple patch, but based on these numbers, if he can replicate them, I do slightly favour Hwang at a cheaper price, but I do think Neto is coming into some unbelievable form, and we might see the best of him from game week 26 onwards. Now, looking at the fixtures, the reason why people are buying them is because of the entry point. Sheffield United at home, they don't come much better than that. Then Newcastle away, who are shipping a lot of goals, and then of course Fulham at home. The Bournemouth game in 29 is not confirmed yet because it could be a blank depending on the FA Cup fixtures, and this is the big debate right now, and why a lot of people are changing their chip strategies, because Wolves' fixtures are so good. And if you are planning on maybe free hitting in game week 29 or not, that is going to change your direction on whether you buy Wolves. If you plan on free hitting in 29, my advice is definitely buy some Wolves players this game week. If you're trying to run through game week 29 with players that feature, maybe you need to avoid the Wolves transfer this week. But if I was to pick one, it would slightly be Hwang, just because of the goal scoring potential. But I do feel like Neto could become that asset that we all want. But as of right now, it is going to be Hwang. Moving on to the first player that you need to avoid going into game week 26, and it is going to be Mo Salah. It feels terrible to put him on this list because so many people have been buying him. I believe he's in the top 5 most bought players going into game week 26. And obviously, he is an unbelievable player. But the main reason why you shouldn't be buying him coming into game week 26 is that massive blank space under game week 26. For those that don't know, game week 26 is a blank for Luton, Spurs, Chelsea and Liverpool. And even though people are buying Mo Salah because they want to avoid the price changes, and I get it, you want him for the long term, but he is not playing in game week 26. And 13 million, that is far too much money for you to be paying for a player that blanks. Target the fixtures in front of us. And the big thing is, well, game week 29 might be a blank for Liverpool as well. So you're buying Salah to blank. Forest away, yes, that's a decent fixture. Then Man City, I know he's done well historically against Man City, but it's still not a great fixture. And then a potential blank in game week 29. Mo Salah needs to be avoided for your FPL teams. Then we can look to either buy him in game week 27 once the FA Cup fixtures have happened. And if Liverpool play in game week 29, all aboard Mo Salah. But if that isn't the case and they blank in game week 29, game week 30 is the entry point for him. Do not be wasting your money right now, even though there could be some potential upside. And also it's worth noting, he is an injury risk going into both the back end of game week 25 and the Carabao Cup final. So we don't even know if he's fully fit. So Mo Salah, if you haven't bought already, is an avoid. Now, similar to the Wolves pair, Neto and of course Hwang, we need to discuss the Aston Villa pair in Douglas Luiz and Leon Bailey. Again, very similar price points, with Bailey being slightly more expensive at 5.6 million compared to Douglas Luiz at 5.5. And whereas Hwang versus Neto I felt was a very, very close debate, this one is going to all depend on what kind of FPL manager you are. So firstly, the reason why Aston Villa are so appealing is whereas Wolves might potentially blank in game week 29, we know for certainty that Aston Villa play in game week 29, and West Ham away with the defensive frailties they are showing right now is a great fixture for game week 29, and we're going to want Aston Villa in our teams regardless whether you free hit or not in game week 29. And the fixtures leading up to that are also great. Forest at home, Luton away, and Spurs at home. I think Aston Villa tick all the boxes here. They guarantee a game in 29. Even if you don't know what your chip strategy is right now, they just allow you to wait one more week for the FA Cup fixtures, because even if you want to get them, the fixtures are great in front of you. Now the decision is which one to go for if you want to bring him in. Well, I think the argument right now for Douglas Luiz has been because he is Mr. Consistent, he plays every single minute and he's on penalties and all set pieces, that is the route to go for. And the narrative for Leon Bailey has been that he's been a massive rotation risk, but that hasn't been the case. Over the last 10 to 12 game weeks, the only times Bailey has sat out is due to injury. Otherwise, he has started every single game for Unai Emery. The only big problem with him, he's not really a 90-minute man. He does come off around 70, 75 minutes. And when we do take a look at the underlying numbers, if we could guarantee Leon Bailey having the same minutes as Douglas Luiz, it's not even a competition. Goals per 90 is in Bailey's favour. XG per 90 is in Bailey's favour. And what we do need to note as well is that this is including penalties. If we take penalties out of the equation, Douglas Luiz's falls from 0.27 to around 0.18. So there's a massive difference when we take penalties out of the equation. Shots are in Bailey's favour. Even expected assists, which is really surprising. I felt like Douglas Luiz would have had that one with being on corners, indirect free kicks, and also just open play creativity, but that is in Bailey's favour as well. So this all comes down to what kind of manager you are. If you are looking for a player to hold long term and play every single game, I think the answer is Douglas Luiz. And being on penalties, that is a big factor. But we need to take away the narrative of Bailey maybe being benched each and every game week. If he is fit, he starts all of these fixtures. But I do think he comes off around 70, 75 minutes. And based on the underlying numbers, I do think he has the potential to outscore Douglas Luiz. So for me, I think if you're buying long term, I would just favour Douglas Luiz, even though all the numbers suggest going Bailey. But based on these numbers, I do not knock anybody going for Bailey, because this ceiling I do feel is a lot higher if he does get the expected minutes over this period. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm just going to lean towards Douglas Luiz. And if we are debating between these or Wolves, I think again it comes down to a chip strategy. I feel like Aston Villa cover you off for one more game week, and then you can understand what chip strategy you go for. If you buy the Wolves players, then you are kind of tying yourself in to a free hit in game week 29. Another player that I want to add to the list of game week 26 avoids, and we're going to stick with Aston Villa, is going to be Matty Cash. Now, I don't think I need to talk too much about this section, but I have seen him being bought by a fair few managers going into this weekend. Now, I'm not denying Matty Cash is a bad option. The underlying numbers here are pretty decent. XG per 90 being 0.19. Shots in the box for a right back is decent at 1.19. Even the expected assists and attempted assists are not bad. However, Concert isn't out for the rest of the season. He could return in the next few weeks. And that is a big issue, because when we're buying players like Matty Cash, I'm expecting that you're planning on not free hitting in game week 29. And I just think there is no certainty that Matty Cash is going to be selected for that game week 29 team. And on that basis alone, a rotation risk like Matty Cash is not worth considering in your FPL teams. I know he does offer a lot of attacking output and he is an explosive asset at times, but with the injuries to Aston Villa right now defensively, I don't think investing in a defence is the right thing. And secondly, if you are going to go in the defence, don't be going for somebody like a rotation risk. if you have to go for that route, I'd much rather you pay a little bit more and go for somebody like Alex Moreno, who looks like he is Unai Emery's #1 pick at left back. I think Matty Cash is just a problem waiting to happen in your teams. Last up of the Game Week 26 players to buy is going to be Dominic Solanke at 6.9 million. Now, this one probably seems very, very obvious, so I do apologise, but I do think it is worth a quick discussion, especially being in Game Week 26 right now. So, looking at the fixtures, if you didn't know, there is going to be a lot of managers buying Dominic Solanke come Game Week 27 because they play Burnley and then they go into a double game week in 28. And you never know, Game Week 29 right now is predicted to be a blank for them, but that fixture could happen depending on an FA Cup upset. So everybody's going to buy Dominic Solanke come Game Week 27 regardless. But I do think there is an argument right now to maybe bring him in for Game Week 26. Now, there is going to be, as I mentioned, a lot of people buying him. So the price is going to rise from Game Week 27 onwards. But if you're sat there right now with Darwin Núñez, your Game Week 26 team is looking really bad with a lot of people blanking. Maybe making the move early from Darwin Núñez to Dominic Solanke could be a wise move. Darwin Núñez is also not only having a blank in 26, but also injured right now. So we don't even know if he's going to be available for Game Week 27. So I feel like maybe getting the move done early, Solanke in for Darwin Núñez, and know that you do have him early doors when that price starts to rise. And all of a sudden, buying him at 6.9 million, we could get to Game Week 27 and he is 7.1, 7.2 million. And you've made a bit of profit already on that player. Now, in terms of numbers, I don't think we need to talk too much about it. He is the talisman in that Bournemouth team. 0.56 XG per 90 is fantastic. He's on penalties. He's not necessarily a chance creator in the team, but I don't mind that at all. He is the main man in this side. So, look, I don't think Solanke is a desperate move for your teams. If you're sat there with Jota and Núñez, I think there maybe is an argument maybe to get rid of Diogo Jota first, bring in the Wolves or Aston Villa players, and then we can look at Solanke as a -4 or even a Game Week 27 transfer. But even though they do have Man City and it isn't a great entry point, I do think getting him done this week is going to pay off longer term because you know you just want him regardless of what chip strategy you are on. Okay, and last up, a Game Week 26 player that you do need to sell is going to be Diogo Jota. Now, I need to caveat that by saying you don't necessarily have to sell him in Game Week 26, but he is a sell regardless, whether it be in 26, 27 or 28. And that is based on the news that we have here. Now, we did have also another press conference from Jurgen Klopp, who did state that he's out for a minimum 1 month. And I do think it probably end up will be in around 2 months based on the news here, as well as what Jurgen Klopp has said. So for those who don't know, Jota has suffered a knee injury and is going to be out for all of the fixtures that you can see on your screen here. Now, he was a problem regardless because they blanked in Game Week 26, but with knowing that he's going to be out for the long term, it is a sell. Now, the players that I spoke about at the start of this video are real considerations. Jota to Wolves are a great move. It's going to free up loads of cash in the bank. And then, of course, it does tie you into a free hit in 29 potentially, but the future fixtures are great. Always, you could do Jota to Aston Villa. That is a solid move. One thing that could be considered for your teams, if you're not desperate to bring in either Wolves or Aston Villa, and maybe not even a transfer this week, maybe waiting one more game week, Game Week 27, and then doing Jota to a Spurs midfielder could be the way to go. If you're already heavily invested in those players, I think Jota to Son or Richarlison could actually be quite a wise move. The Spurs fixtures from Game Week 27 are actually really good. And with them having a guaranteed fixture in 29, they also tick that box. So Jota to Son or Richarlison in Game Week 27 shouldn't be out of your mind if you are well prepped for Game Week 26. But regardless, Diogo Jota is a sell for your FPL teams. Yes, guys, okay, that is going to wrap up today's video. Slightly different one here, so it would be amazing if you could let me know in the comments whether this did provide value, looking at a few players you need to buy, sell, and avoid. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, if you have any other questions, fire them away. We have got plenty of content coming. We've got the Game Week 26 preview, we've got my team selection, and of course a Q&A live stream. So make sure, if you're not already, you are subscribed to the channel. Have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Cheers.